We have before us today the Election Commission meeting and a clarity factual hearing agenda. This meeting is now called to order. We're here for a recall clarity hearing to review the petition filed against Sam Lampeta, Village of Onset president currently. I am Judge Catherine Sala. I am the Election Commission president. And
Roxanne Holloway, Lenawee County Clerk.
Erin Van Dyke, Lenawee County Treasurer.
thank you. All right, Ms. Clerk, do we know for sure that our notice of our meeting was posted?
It was on August 20th. And where was it posted? It was in the judicial building as well as the annex building.
Thank you. Do I have a motion regarding the approval of our agenda?
Make that motion.
I'll second that.
I will also second. That is a unanimous vote, and so the motion carries. We had a meeting on June 5th, and we have some minutes from June 5th, 2023. I will move for approval of those minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Motion carries unopposed. Those meetings from the meeting minutes from June 5th, 2023 are approved. At this time, we will have limited public comment from our public members who have requested some time to be heard on the recall petition. I'm looking at the right agenda. Yeah, great. Here's the rest. Okay. All right, so let's begin. Just so you know, you'll be limited to 3 minutes. Deputy Ames will be monitoring that 3-minute time for us. And let's start with, it looks like Daniel, I'm sorry, your handwriting's almost as bad as mine. Sarah Daniel Dixon, is that right? David. Okay, come on up to the podium and give us your name, please.
David A. Dixon, Village of Onstead, Zoning and Ordinance Officer. I live in the Rome Township. I'm not in the village. And I am, as I said, the Zoning and Ordinance Officer, and I think Sam's doing a great job. I was hired about 5 years ago by the foreman here to come in and do the zoning and ordinance due to my law enforcement background. And I've learned a lot, and I have observed many of the meetings. I've been at every one of them. I think that the rule of law has been enforced. It's a great job, and Sam's doing a great job. I know that you're only going to make 50% of the people happy, and 50% are not, and we all know that. So, from my point of view and my time on the job, I thought Sam's done a great job, and he and I have had some very interesting discussions about how to do some of the things that we do. I was in. From my law enforcement background and his civilian background, we've really come together as a great team to make this work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is Jeff Hubbard. Mr. Jeff Hubbard, come on up to our podium. Confirm I've got your name right there, if you would, please.
Yes, Connor. My point of clarity is this is on just the wording today that we're really debating on, or whatever else, as far as to make the case for this word. I'm Jeff Hubbard from Onstead, Michigan. I do live outside the village, but I have a couple of businesses in the property area through there. On our wording and stuff through there, we have we've heard many complaints, and I witnessed it to attending the council meetings and stuff like that, where many council members want information and are denied access to information and can't get to them. Almost to the point where they're trying to file a FOIA act from the council to the office of the presidency to try to get information. I think that's wrong. Public safety is a concern. We've had some construction projects in the area. There's some problems that we're done with that took forever to be addressed. Snow plowing was a problem. We've had crime in the park that wasn't addressed for years and years. Our water rates are just, we feel there's a lot of inequities there. We've been to council meetings, we've been to committee meetings, and we just seems like there's a roadblock or an impasse all the time that we just can't get through. So we don't have any resort. We're very frustrated with things that are going on in the village, and this is our only avenue is to go this way to maybe to wake people up and see what's going on, get some other people power. Thank you.
you. All right, Mr. Brad Layman. Come on up, please confirm I've got your name right.
Bradley Layman. I'm just a local business. I don't live in the village. I just came because the inequity in the water bills, it's hitting us business people really hard. We had a meeting, 23 of the business people showed up. I mean, that's a big portion of how many's there, maybe 30. We just can't get anywhere with it. It's just not going anywhere. The water bill went from $263 to over $1,000 because of the way that the building is designed, they said. And so I'm here to see if we can push this along and see if we can get something going on. That's all.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Mr. John DeAngelis. Confirm your name, please.
Yeah, John DeAngelis, Clinton, Michigan. I don't live in the village. However, I do have multiple properties within the village. I don't think anybody here today is questioning Sam as a person. Sam happened to be a good friend of mine for many years. What's up for today is his ability to lead. And that is not doing us any good. I hate to say it, but you know, I went, just take for example, all the properties I have, just 3 of them alone had 3 water bills. Under his leadership, they automatically went to 12 bills, just on 3 properties, which basically took a $3,000 bill, a $1,500 bill, $3,000 bill, and almost doubled it. Just because they thought they could do that. They had to create accounts to get a road millage passed and grant so they could put a new water main in. They didn't have enough revenue to justify having it done. So they created additional accounts on all these buildings, which basically increased my water bill 500%, 600%, 700%. On some of my properties, the water bill went from $300 to $1,500. One property went from $1,500 to $4,000. It's not sustainable. It's not equitable because none of the residents went up by the same percentage. So it's arbitrary. Put it all on one person, let him pay the bill. Regarding safety, I have multiple properties and can't get a building permit to save my life. Everything I put in, denied. No reason, just deny it. Let it sit. Otherwise, the building just deteriorates. I have multiple texts, which you can bring forward later, about Sam stating, you'll get your water bills. The water bill that was due in July, I was promised to get at the end of June. Still have not received it. I'm supposed to get a credit on all my bills. That's what was promised. July 5th, where's my bills? Oh, they're working on it. As of today, I yet to get my updated bills for July. And I'm sure in their little system in the village, they're all got late fees on them already. And that's what they do. They promise you to give you a credit and then keep delaying it. And then what they do is they just transfer it to your tax bill. So they don't have to deal with the credit and say, oh, now we can't take it off your bill. And that's done to me twice. I've been promised credits twice. Both times transferred it, never got them, said, oh, the board said no, this no. After I was told I'd get them, transfer them to the tax bill. And that's probably what they're gearing up to do again. So I've now got my July bill, can't pay it, gonna transfer to the bill, I guarantee it. So, and that's all text messages and everything, which that I can provide later. So that's my concern. As a business owner, it's devastating. His leadership abilities are not becoming a public officer. Friendship wise, good man. Public officer, horrible. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our last request for public comment comes to us from Marty or Linda Hubbard.
Good morning. I too have a business in the village, although I am also the Downtown Development Authority president and have been for almost 30 years. So I've worked with several mayors, several presidents. For me, the issue is transparency. Dave Dixon spoke to the fact that the rule of law is being followed, and I think that that is true technically. But there is no transparency. We have met about these issues several times for over a year, more like 2 years, and we've had no resolution. We have asked for the arbitrariness of the bills to be disclosed. Excuse me, how they came to charge. And I will give you just a tiny example, and I will use my own business. So I've opened up a a coffee shop that use an ice cream shop. I can legally set 13 people in it. I am being charged 2 REUs, which is residential equivalency units for that property, which is the same that the car wash in town is being charged, the same as the large diner in town, which can legally sit 80 people, and the bar. I use disposable dishes. Those establishments have commercial washers. So I've laid it all out and said, how can I be being charged the same thing that these larger facilities are being charged? But I've never gotten an answer. I can bring in emails to Sam. And again, we're a small place. We're all neighbors. This is a last resort. Nobody wanted it to come to this, but here we are because we're just asking for explanation, for a show of how they've arrived at these numbers, because it has been devastating to the economy of Onstead. It is a tiny place, as we all know. And when you've got over 50% of the businesses unhappy and folding in on themselves because these resolutions are not coming to the fore, it is devastating. And so I'd like to see that stop for all of the obvious reasons. So I'm just hoping that, sadly, here we are through this process, but looking for resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our time spot for public comment. I'm just going to review the purpose of our meeting today. The purpose of our clarity factual hearing is to determine whether each reason for the recall stated in the petition is of a factual nature and of sufficient clarity to enable the officer whose recall is sought and the electors to identify the course of conduct that is the basis for the recall. The Election Commission does not determine the truth of the allegations. Allegations of fact may be true or false, and the Commission does not have the procedural authority to investigate, to swear witnesses, or to subpoena to determine if allegations are true or not. If any reason for the recall is not factual or of sufficient clarity, the entire recall petition will be rejected. The petition that we're reviewing today is slated to be on the May election ballot. And it indicates, we, the undersigned, registered and qualified voters of the village of Onstead in the county of Lenawee, the state of Michigan, petition for a calling of an election to recall Sam Lampeta from the office of president for the following reasons. Sam Lampeta has ignored or dismissed concerns made by fellow board members during public and private meetings. Issues regarding public safety have been brought to him publicly and privately, and he has not pursued safe or satisfactory solutions. He has supervised and instituted arbitrary and detrimental billing practices related to utility use and zoning issues that have negatively impacted residents and businesses in the village. The rest of the language on the recall petition is standard and remains the same. At this time, the sponsor of this recall petition has the opportunity to speak in support of the petition. So whoever drafted the petition, this is your opportunity to come on up to the podium. I don't have that information necessarily in front of me. Your name, sir?
My name is John McVeigh.
And you are the author of the language on the recall?
Correct. I'm the sponsor. I have lived in the village of Onstead since 1989. For years, well, all these years, during certain times that the village does things, the streets have been closed down. This year they chose not to do it. It was this big safety factor with people walking up and down the street and cars going by them. And anyways, but I basically just sponsored it because I am the one that lives in here. I am with John. That this is not personal, this is business. Okay, we have watched, I can say 6 businesses that have closed up in the last, and moved out in the last year. Just alone, that alone. My water bill, like theirs, has gone, well, basically doubled from what it used to be. Sam is a very nice guy. I know a lot of people like him and whatnot, and that's not the problem. The problem is the decision-making process is not for the best interest of everyone in the village, let alone businesses in themselves. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
At this time, the opportunity for the opponent, or in other words, the officer whose recall is sought, has the opportunity to speak in opposition of this petition. Sam Lampeta, if you would like to speak, this is your opportunity.
Thank you very much. The petition is inaccurate because how to come up with all that is impossible under the way we operate within the village. I'm one of 7 votes. I don't have lateral control. I don't push things through. This is not a dictatorship. So I will read, I'm here to contest the validity of facts presented in evidence on the ongoing proceedings regarding the recall of my presidential seat. It has come to my attention that the accusations made by Mr. McVeigh, which he's the sponsor, the others wrote it, made by Mr. McVeigh are both erroneous and slanderous, as they do not accurately reflect the operation and procedures of the village. First and foremost, I would like to clarify that the president only has 1 vote within the council, consisting of 7 members. The allegation, contrary to the allegations against me, I do not have the unilateral power to dictate ordinances, resolutions, or billing policies. The proposed changes or decisions require the council's approval through voting process, where then a majority is necessary to pass such changes. Furthermore, it is important to emphasize the village operates in a transparent and democratic manner. Decisions are made collectively, ensuring the involvement and representation of the council members. The claims made by Mr. McVeigh failed to consider the fundamental principles that our governance structure represent with his misrepresentations and reality of our operation. I kindly request the court's careful consideration in this matter. I am confident through examination, it will shed light on this baseless nature. Thank you for attention in this matter.
All right, at this time, I would open the floor to our commission members specifically to discuss the clarity of the petition in any manner you may feel necessary.
If I could speak, as you shared earlier, the board, the commission, we only have the authority to review the wording and to determine if it's clear and stated in a factual nature. And I look at the wording on the petition as an elector. If someone were to come up to me and ask if I would like to sign a petition, and I take a look at it and to see if it's clear to me. And the officer that should be able to defend themselves with the statements that are on here, and an elector should be able to take a look at this and understand it without even asking any questions to that circulator. So as I read the petition, I feel that it is not clear especially the first statement about has ignored or dismissed concerns made by fellow board members during public and private meetings. In order for myself as an elector to look at that and say, well, I don't know what concerns are you talking about? What's going on there? And both during public or private meetings as well. So in my opinion, at this point, it's not clear enough for an elected to take a look at it. Want to sign the petition without asking who's circulating it. Can you go into more details? I don't know that, I don't understand that statement. Or for the officer to defend themselves regarding that statement. That's my opinion.
Were you able to hear all that, Mr. Durham?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, again, I'm gonna agree with Roxanne. We're not here to determine the validity of the accusations on the petition. We are here to examine the wording to make sure it is clear and concise. If somebody were to hand me this petition, I would definitely have questions. It's just not specific enough for me to understand exactly what it is that you're trying to recall for. It's very vague. Again, just based on the wording, I agree that it's not clear enough to proceed.
Thank you. We have to look at whether or not it's stated as facts rather than an opinion. The determination of whether or not the statement is true is a political question for the voters to decide. However, we need specific facts in the recall petition to evaluate. What we have before us, I agree, is opinion rather than specific facts. I have a much better understanding of what the problem is, having listened to our public comments section. But as we talked about, it's not our job to determine whether or not it's true or false, but whether or not this is a fact or an opinion, and whether or not it's clear and sufficient allegations in order to allow the officer to defend himself. The elector should be able to understand the statements without the circular having to explain the allegations. So I would have to concur with my fellow board members in this particular situation, even though I can clearly understand and sympathize with the frustrations of the business owners and in the village at this time. I hope perhaps there's another way that these issues can be resolved in the future. But unfortunately, I would agree that the recall petition as it's written does not allow us to allow it to move forward as the law requires us to evaluate. Do I have a motion on a determination as it relates to this petition?
I will make that motion to reject the wording as presented.
I'll second.
I also second and agree, which makes it a unanimous decision. I would note that this is a recall petition that would have been on a May election ballot, and the term for this particular officer ends in November. And I wish you all the best of luck in moving forward, and perhaps your other avenues, including someone running to challenge him, for example, could be explored. But again, I wish you all the best of luck on that in resolving these issues. Obviously, they're very pertinent and necessary, and I hope that your concerns have been better heard as a result of the actions that took place this morning. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Very good. So motion second. So our meeting is unanimously adjourned at this point. Again, we should